Hi folks, this is all the fruit, and in front of me is the oldest court of justice in the world, the oldest legal institution in the world, the oldest democratic institution in the whole wide world. I'm so honored to be here. I wanted to see this since I was a kid. But why am I putting some random court of justice on a fruit channel? Well, because this court is a court of farmers, fruit and veg farmers, and they decide only about the most important things, about water. Without water, they couldn't maintain their tiny fruit and veg farms here in the Huerta of Valencia on the Spanish Mediterranean coast. Well, here is one of the judges. Those are no judges with a legal education. They are not appointed by any government. This court, rooted in ancient tribal traditions, predates fancy courthouses, posh lawyers or perfumed judges. It even predates this ancient cathedral here. Probably it existed in some form or another during the Roman Empire. Each one of those judges, there are 8 of them, represents one of the 8 aqueducts of the Vega of Valencia. The only requirements are actually that you are a farmer in the Vega of Valencia, that you are toiling the soil with your own hands, and that you are being considered a good man by your neighbors. Then you can be elected to be a judge on this court. They wear those short robes, which are very similar to traditional farmers' clothing in this part of Spain. Short, not constricting your movement while you are working with a hoe or with a shovel on your tiny farm. Dark, so that stains don't show on them. The proceedings are very simple and straightforward. They talk the local dialect. They don't write down anything except for the final decision, and the decisions are final. There is no appeal to this court. They have existed here, well, maybe even before recorded history in this area. Most probably in a similar form. Oh, somebody dropped their European t-shirt. Probably in a similar form, at least since the Roman Empire. We are not sure about it, because after the Roman Empire we had such tribes like the Vandals and the Goths, and yeah, they did behave like Vandals and Goths and destroyed like 99.9% of the ancient records. But probably this court has existed for around 2000 years. We have constant preserved records since the year 960, not 1900, but 960. So this court spans at least 3 millennia. Well, its record spanned 3 millennia, maybe it's even older. It's so amazing that it has survived so many catastrophic, cataclysmic destructions of the local system and local culture, and often even of the local people. The oldest records are from the time of the Caliphate of Cordoba, a very liberal and modern Islamic state. Then this Caliphate got destroyed, got replaced by a lot of warlords, taifas, little kingdoms. Later it got replaced by a fanatic Muslim empire, which wiped out a lot of the old Muslim culture of previous centuries. Then it got replaced by the famous knight El Cid, who was Christian and conquered the area of Valencia. Then it got reconquered again by the Muslims. Then it got conquered again by the Christians, got conquered by the King of Aragon. No, not the one from Lord of the Rings, a different one. Then the creation of the Kingdom of Valencia. Later the unification of all those kingdoms into the Kingdom of Spain, which again destroyed most of the local systems of governance. Well, then basically the era of conquest, the creation of the Spanish Empire, the first worldwide empire. Then I think the other judges are coming. Then the prosecution and expulsion of most of its members and judges by the Spanish Inquisition, because most of them were still Muslim. Then later, the destruction of the Spanish Empire, the Napoleonic Wars. Oh, here are the judges together with the, what would this be, the bailiff in English? Yeah, very simple people, farmers like you and me. I love this. Well, it survived the Napoleonic Wars, it survived the Spanish Republic, the Civil War, the Franco dictatorship, later the re-establishment of democracy. And it still exists, and it still keeps its records and meets every week at the same day, at the same time, at the same place, in the same way. But who do you think cares about a couple farmers meeting in some street corner? Oh, I'm supposed to be quiet. Yeah, this is a serious business. Well, who cares about a couple farmers meeting in some street corner? Imagine judges would meet here in sun, in rain, in cold, in heat, in hail, in storm, always at the same time, at the same place. No normal judge would suffer this. Well, so who cares about this? I mean, yeah, it's a nice tourist attraction, but what makes this different from a couple people dressing up as pilgrims or as Union and Confederate soldiers, or as knights and peasants in Europe and doing some reenactment or some role play? Who cares about this? Well, everybody is required to care by law. I think I said the decisions are final. There is no appeal to the decisions of this court. Neither a regular Spanish court with real judges who have studied law, nor the Spanish government, nor the Spanish parliament, nor the European Union, which likes to meddle in all agricultural affairs. Nobody can overthrow the decisions of those farmers. It's part of the Spanish constitution. This court has guaranteed the right, final decisions to all matters concerning water in the Vega of Valencia. It seems that today there is nobody who wants to present any complaints to them. Oh yeah, they are getting up. Yeah, this is quite common nowadays. Many times, actually, they just come, they meet, they ask if there is somebody to present something to them, and then they leave. Yeah. Well, let's see, what's above the European Union? The United Nations. Well, even the United Nations will never interfere in this, because they've made it a world heritage. The court used to meet in the old mosque, but then when the Christians conquered the area, they destroyed the mosque and built this cathedral. And because most of the farmers used to be Muslims, they started meeting outside of the cathedral. So basically, yeah, destroy our Muslim state, later destroy the democracy and establish a fascist dictatorship. We'll accept all this, but never ever mess with our water rights. So yeah, okay, nobody's able to overthrow the decisions of this court, which didn't even do any decisions today. But still, what's the significance of it? It's only its area of competence is just a very small part of the Huerta, well, a small part of the Huerta of Valencia, of the fruit and veg farms outside of the city of Valencia. most of them are like half an acre or 1 acre in size, basically the size of an average American cupboard. Yeah, who cares about those people, even if their decisions might be final? Well, the importance of these tiny farms cannot be overestimated. Especially in winter, most of the fruit and veg we get in European supermarkets comes from the Spanish Mediterranean coast. Nowadays we are so used to getting reasonably priced fruit and veg all throughout the winter, but just a couple decades ago this was not the case. Imagine nowadays you would not get any fresh fruits and veggies all winter, or they would be so expensive that only posh people could afford this. Well, it still depends on those little Spanish coastal farms. Also, those areas have always been plagued by drought. That's why this court was even so important in previous millennia. Very small farms, very good soil, very good climate, but lack of water. And it's the same all around the Mediterranean. And right now, over 1 billion people in the Mediterranean, in the Middle East and in Africa, they are critically threatened by desertification and basically loss of the local fruit, veg, grain and other production. The crazy thing is, at least the last 3 or 4 years, everywhere where I've been, Germany, Bulgaria, Spain, France, Italy, the Canary Islands in Africa, Borneo, there is drought and the fruit and veg production is suffering a lot because of this. Huge movements of migrants are being expected, like hundreds of millions of people starting to move towards the better watered areas in Central, Western and Northern Europe. And that's where this court comes into play. Yeah, their legal rights are only for a very small area of the Huerta of Valencia, but they are being asked. They have such a good reputation of being impartial and no, this fence is not stable, don't pull on it. They have such a good reputation worldwide that they are being asked to solve a lot of disputes or to advise on a lot of disputes about water in different parts of the world. Because here basically they have done this peacefully for over 1,000 years and maybe much longer. So this development, this desertification of the most ancient agricultural areas in the world, Middle East, North Africa, the Mediterranean, is one of the biggest threats mankind is facing in the 21st century. And this court, they are being called upon not for their binding legal decision, but for their advice with decades of expertise, agricultural expertise of its members, and over 1,000 years of expertise in the court. They are being called again and again as advisors on those matters of water, of life and death. So this court, unlike all those reenactments and role plays and beating each other up with blunt swords, this court is still as relevant as it always was, and its relevance has grown in recent years and decades, and is going to continue to grow. So as I said, I'm really honored to have been there. Okay, they didn't do any legal proceedings today, but still it's important that every farmer of the area can come here every week and have their water problems resolved, quick and fast and simple and without too much fuss. Just the fact that this institution exists probably prevents a lot of farmers from stealing water or wasting water. So really glad I was able to see this. I wouldn't have understood anything anyways if from their talking, because Spain, just like France, is one country obsessed with their language, and this court is talking in the local dialect. And just decades ago, everybody who would not talk Castilian dialect, which is the official language of Spain, was reprimanded to talk not Castilian but Christian. A big insult in a Catholic country. After all, the kings of Spain are called the Catholic kings. So this was a big insult. Nobody was allowed to talk in anything but Castilian Spanish. And this court, to add insult to injury, they not only talk in the local dialect, but it's a dialect. Oh, was this one of the judges? They take off their robes and they come and start putting away the chairs. They're farmers after all. Tell me if those are the judges from a short while ago. Putting away their own heavy chairs. They don't mind. They are used to hard work. Well, yeah, this court is doing its proceedings in the local dialect, and to add insult to injury, the local dialect is not even a dialect of Spanish but of Catalan, so I wouldn't have understood much. Yeah, so glad I was here. Well, I guess this is permitted here. Nope, I'm not gonna sit on one of those chairs. I respect this court too much for that. So folks, this was the Water Court of Valencia, the oldest court in the world. I'm so glad that this is a court not by lawyers but by fruit and veg farmers, simple men of big importance. Stay tuned for a lot more fruit videos from the beautiful and incredibly fruit and veggie rich city of Valencia. Tomorrow I plan to visit the farms of those nice people, the tiny gardens. That's why the area is called the Huerta, the garden, because the farms are the size of gardens. Oh, and by the way, if you want to receive more such content, it's not enough to subscribe to my channel, because YouTube kinda doesn't recommend my videos anymore. Better press the little bell icon to be notified of any new uploads.